Hello there. Uh-oh, that's my phone. That was a little bit of a delay coming in on my phone. I apologize for that. So, welcome. It's your girl Valerie Mason Chase, and I'm welcoming you to another episode of Marriage Beyond the Breach. So, I thank you, those who are watching live or those who may watch later on. And those who are watching, if you haven't already done so, I welcome for you to subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so that you can be notified when we have upcoming sessions or podcasts in the future. So, that being said, we're going to talk about something today that impacts each and every one of us, whether we know it or not, whether we know what it is or not. And today we're going to be talking about something called attachment. We're going to be talking about what is it? What is attachment? And why does it matter? What impact does it have on us personally and in our relationships? And I have, as always, a very, very special guest with me this evening. She's one of my colleagues at Mending Hearts. And guess what, y'all? She's another Karen cutie. That's what I call those of us who graduated from Karen University. I have dubbed us the Karen cuties. Okay, I know you're probably saying, well, Val, so many of your guests are graduates of Karen University. Yeah, that's because they are competent, they're knowledgeable, and they are fantabulous guests. All I can say is, from my perspective, and I know I am a little bit biased, I admit and I acknowledge that, Cairn University produces some amazing, amazing counselors. And you're going to witness another one when I bring her on. And not only is she a Cairn cutie, she is the daughter of, y'all know the person I call one of my favorite people on the planet? Well, she's the daughter of that individual. So none other than, here she is, y'all, Kierra Thompson. Hey, Kierra.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for being here tonight. Hey, Dr. Danita, you watching your baby girl. All right.
Wait, I'm just realizing that we're wearing the same top here. We didn't even that.
I didn't even realize that either. Listen, this was not a setup, y'all. I promise you, because we were conversing before I went live, and I didn't even notice her T-shirt. But you know what they say: great minds think alike, right? All right. So, Dr. Janita, Nicole, thank you all for watching. And for those who are on, I like for our conversations to be as interactive as possible. So, if you have a comment, if you have a question, please don't hesitate to put it in the chat. But what I would like for you to do right now is give a Marriage Beyond the Breach welcome to Sister Kierra Thompson. Give her a shout out and show your appreciation for her being here tonight and taking up her time hanging out with us this evening. So, Kierra, we're going to be talking about attachment. And I always like to start in the beginning talking about what it is. So, what is it exactly? Can you explain what attachment theory is and its importance in understanding relationships?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. I didn't give you a chance to introduce yourself and say something about yourself. My bad. As the kids say, my bad. I apologize. Go ahead, Kierra. Tell everybody about yourself.
My name is Kierra. I am associate counselor. I can finally say that. Like I said, I'm a graduate at Karen University. I now work at Mending Hearts Behavioral Health. Yeah, I also love attachment theory. Talk about this. Yeah.
Yes, fantastic. So, without further ado, explain for us what attachment theory is and why it's important in understanding relationships.
Yeah, so attachment theory is really what it says. It's the theory of to other people, how we manage close relationships. And there's adult attachment, but I think as a child, you know, there are studies infants attached to their caregivers. It's a theory. Again.
Hold on for 1 second. I think somebody said they hear an echo, and I'm hearing kind of not a delay, but it's a little wonky. Okay, they're saying that they can't hear you.
Oh. Okay.
And somebody else said that there's a bad echo.
Yeah, I do hear the echo.
Are you on a computer or a phone or a tablet? Which one are you on? Okay, and you're using your phone's audio, or are you using some other device?
Yeah, I'm using my phone's audio. If I wore headphones, is that better?
You could try it and see if that'll make a difference.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Sure, I will wait. So while we are waiting, I want you all to get your questions and comments together about attachment and attachment theory, because as I said in the beginning, it impacts each and every one of us, whether we understand it or not, or know it or not. It impacts how we show up in all of our relationships, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a family, even how we show up at work and with our colleagues. And so that's something that Kierra is going to share with us on this evening, because it's helpful for us to have this information as we go forward in relationships. And just like that, boom, how do they say? Bada bing, bada boom, you back.
Does it sound better? Or is there still echo?
Oh, that's better.
I can still hear an echo, but if everyone else can't, I'm okay with the echo.
Okay. I don't hear it skipping like it was before. So if you all who are listening can let me know how it sounds to you, because it sounds perfectly okay to me. And in the meantime, I just want to give a shout out to, hey, Jackie, hey, Elder Gail, Ollie, Dr. Danita, Nicole, Sister Tiffany, and Sadara. Thank you all so much for watching. And someone said that they could still hear an echo. Someone had a suggestion. Someone said maybe your phone is on speaker. I don't know.
Well, now I have the headphones. So I'm not.
Okay. All right. So we are going to forge ahead. Hopefully the echoing is not too bad. I wonder if it could be on my end. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Do you all hear the echo when I'm speaking, or do you hear the echo only when Kierra is speaking? Because maybe it's my phone. Because if you hear it when I'm speaking, I mean, I have my phone on silent, but I don't know if it's me or her. So if someone could just answer for me, say, oh, Sadara said it's just when you're speaking, Kierra.
Am I?
So I don't know.
Am I turned all the way up on your? Maybe turn me down a little bit.
Oh, turn you down some?
Yeah,
okay.
Maybe that will work.
Okay. Okay, I turned Kierra down. We're gonna try to work with it for a little bit.
Do we have less of an echo?
Oh, Dr. Danita was asking, can you switch to a computer?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can. Give me 1 more second.
Okay. Listen, y'all, we're gonna keep on until we get it right. And I appreciate your patience, because let me tell you, sometimes technology does its own thing. Technology is fantastic and it's wonderful until it ain't. And this is one of those times when technology is kind of doing its own thing. But we are going to make it work. We're going to keep on working at it, because, oh yeah, Ashlyn says she's worth the wait. Absolutely. Hey, Dr. Ashlyn, thank you so much for being here with us on tonight. So those of you who are there, just put in the chat where you are watching from. I'm here in good old Levittown, Pennsylvania. And some of y'all, I know where y'all at. I know my sister Jackie. I know she's in Staten Island, New York. So just share where you are from. And for those who are not therapists, put in the chat what you know about attachment. What's your knowledge about attachment? Do you know what it is? Hey, Dr. Angel, watching from New Jersey. Ollie from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Go ahead, Sister Ollie, with your bad self, all the way out there in Oklahoma. That's a state I have never been to. I've been to a lot of states, but that's one I haven't traveled to yet. Hopefully, prayerfully, one of these days I can get out there in Oklahoma. Wow. Okay. So, what do you all know about attachment? Because I have to tell you, until I enrolled in the counseling program at Kierra University, I had no idea what attachment theory was. I didn't know anything at all about attachment other than, you attach to someone. And that was pretty much it. But we're going to learn a whole lot more about it on this evening. I think Miss Ollie might be the furthest away in terms of where she's watching from in distance from me. Like I said, I'm in Levittown, Pennsylvania. Ollie said one day, oh yeah, Miss Ollie, I'm gonna check that out. I gotta check it out because I gotta tell you this. I ain't know there's too many brown people in Oklahoma, but I guess there must be at some point somewhere. But I would love to get out there because one of the things on my bucket list is to visit every one of the states that are part of the United States of America. Hey, Liz, Bucks County, PA. Attachment is my son. Okay, hold on. There we go. We bring in Miss Kierra. Hey, Kierra.
Is there still an echo?
Okay, so y'all who are watching, let me know if you hear an echo still from Kierra. Home of the Cowboys. So Kierra, start talking and telling us about attachment and attachment theory. And those who are listening, let us know if you still hear an echo. And thank you for your patience.
Yeah, I mean, I can get into the different types of attachment if you want me to go there.
No, not yet. I want you to explain what attachment theory is and why it's important in a relationship. What is its importance regarding relationships?
Yeah. So regarding its importance, I think attachment style, like you said, is something that is always at play in relationships. That if you're unaware of your attachment style, you don't even really know what the major issue that's happening is, right? It's a lot of underlying emotions and feelings that are not getting discussed. And so I would say that's why it's important.
Okay.
In terms of relationships. And this is not, like you said, it's not just romantic relationships. I think that's where it plays out the most in adulthood. But it could be with close friends, coworkers, with your family, right? That's with your caregivers.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have a fan overhead? Maybe that's causing the echo. Maybe
I do.
I don't know if that's it.
Okay. We're gonna work it out.
Ollie Hall said that Miss Ollie said the echo was still bad. I'm still searching for what the possible culprit might be. Yeah, Miss Tiffany said she's missing California, but you a Jersey girl now, Tiff. You a Jersey girl now. That California, that's a thing of the past. Although I know you miss being out there, and I'm sure you especially miss your families. Oh, John said if you had a Bluetooth headset, my son said if you have a Bluetooth headset, that might fix it. I don't know. Do you have a Bluetooth headset?
I did have my headphones, but the echo was still.
The echo was still there?
Yeah, it was still there. So I'm not sure.
Okay. I'm not sure. So how bad is the echo now, guys? Could someone just let me know? Oh, Tiffany's laughing and crying about leaving Cali and being a Jersey girl. Okay. So while we're waiting for them to let us know if the echo is still there, hopefully Turning off the fan helped. No, Liz says it's still there. I don't know what it could possibly be.
I'm not
Because
sure.
you were on the phone, you're no longer on the phone, and you are on only one device, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. Listen, this is technology. Hopefully, even with the echo, you can still hear enough and understand enough to get something out of what's being presented. Okay? So, what are attachment styles and what are the characteristics of different attachment styles?
Yeah. So there are four attachment styles, and three of them are considered insecure attachment styles. The first attachment style I'll talk about is the anxious attachment style. So this is characterized by someone who feels a deep fear of abandonment, and that kind of plays out in facing kind of behaviors in relationships, right? So when they feel a threat that someone is about to leave, or break up with them, or say they don't want to be their friend anymore, that kind of thing. These are the people who are considered, crazy boyfriends or girlfriends.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Dr. Danita said, ask Sadara if it's bouncing off of her phone. It's Sadara, that's your roommate, right?
Yeah, but she's I'm sure we can't hear her. I can't hear her audio.
How close is she in
in her room?
Because sometimes
she's in her room with the door closed.
Okay, Dr. Nita says it's really bad, the echo. Sadara said it's not me. How about trying this? Sadara, whatever, if you are watching on any device, if you could just turn it off, because I just want to see, I want to try that experiment. If you could just turn your device off, and then we're going to have Kierra speak to see if it's
Am I turned down on your? Are you watching on two different devices? Like, am I turned down on your phone or?
Hold on, I am turning my phone completely off. Okay, my phone is completely off. Okay, go ahead, say something. Okay. Let's see what happens.
I still hear the echo.
You still hear the echo?
Yeah, I can hear it too. I'm not sure what the issue is.
And you heard it on your computer and you heard it on your phone as well.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this? We're gonna try to go out and come back in. Okay, so you sign off, because I don't know if I can sign you off. Sign off and then sign back on, and I'll let you back in. Okay? I am so sorry, guys. But I want to keep trying to see if we can get rid of this echo, because this is important information for us to have. Important for us to know about attachment. It's important for us to know to figure out what our particular attachment style is. And there are assessments and quizzes that you can take online for free to find out what your particular attachment style most probably is. And the thing about it, if you do go online and if you do find a quiz or assessment to kind of figure out what your attachment style is, answer the questions honestly as you possibly can, because otherwise what you end up with may not actually align with some of the family of origin stuff that impacts on attachment. All right, so try it again, Kierra. Say something and tell me if you hear your own echo.
Okay. I do hear my own echo.
Oh, so that means they're hearing it too.
Yeah.
I don't know where it could be coming from. Is your phone off?
My phone is off. I don't have any other audio on.
Okay.
Are you sure it's not coming, like me talking is not coming back through the speaker on your end?
I don't think so, because I mean, it's never happened before. And if that is the case, I don't know what to do about that. Except, hold on, let me try this. I'm going to put my earbuds in, and I'll see if that'll remove the echo. Okay. We're going to try that. Okay. We're going to keep on, y'all. And thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for hanging in there. Hold on. Let me plug that in. And then we're going to see what we're going to see. Because we're going to keep on. Then we're going to fix this. All right. Kierra, you can hear me?
I can hear you. I didn't hear any echo this time.
Fantastic.
Okay.
You don't?
I don't hear an echo.
Oh! Hallelujah. Okay. It seems like we have fixed it. So I guess maybe John says no echo. I guess that was it. The sound was bouncing back and forth. I've never had that happen before. But you know what? It don't matter.
Maybe it's because I'm loud. I'm probably a little louder than most of your guests.
No, girl, because ain't nobody louder than me. So we're going to back up. Okay. I want to back up all the way to the beginning. Before you started talking about attachment styles, you were starting to tell us what attachment theory is and what it means.
Yeah. So attachment theory, again, is just the theory of how we attach to our close relationships, the people we have close relationships with. In adulthood, that is with our significant other, with our family, coworkers, things like that. As children, it's usually with our primary caregivers. That's usually where attachment styles as a child is related to. But the way that we attach to our caregivers is usually an indicator of what kind of attachment style we will have in adulthood. So you'll see a lot of the same kind of dynamics that children have had with their parents will play out again in their romantic relationships. And so as we were talking about before, why it's important and relevant to relationships is a lot of times people don't know that their attachment styles are at play. And most people don't have the healthy attachment style, right? Attachment theory is not a new concept, but the idea of attachment styles and things is becoming a lot more popular. And so I think these are things that generally people were not discussing outside of the psychological field. Just everyday people were not discussing these kinds of things. So it's kind of newer to the everyday person. And therefore, I think that means or has resulted in more people than not having an insecure attachment style. I think hopefully as we go on in the future, there will be more secure attachment styles as people understand this information.
Oh, yes. I just have to say, I know you're going to talk about the different attachment styles and what their characteristics are, but this is not scientific at all, but I have come to the conclusion that there were far fewer people who have secure attachment styles than those of us who have other attachment styles.
Yeah.
So talk about the different attachment styles and what the characteristics are of those attachment styles.
Yeah. So I started with the anxious attachment style. This is considered an insecure attachment style. And this one is characterized by someone who has a deep fear of abandonment, and they kind of do anything to avoid that reality coming true for them. The problem with an anxiously attached person is their perception of abandonment sometimes is usually not reality. So these people with an anxious attachment style are usually the ones who, are doing things like texting somebody a lot, or if someone doesn't reply soon enough, or
Mm.
pick up the phone, they're having anxious thoughts about what they could be doing or where they are, or are they alive? Are
Mhm.
they cheating? Are they, do they not like me anymore? So that's kind of how the anxiously attached person is categorized. They're also,
Mhm.
they fully engulf themselves in their relationships.
Mm.
Nothing matters more than connection to them. They want to remain connected,
Mm.
and they'll do anything to maintain that connection. So this also
Yes.
usually the people who are, saying things like, I'll do anything, like whatever you want me to do, I'll do it, I'll fix
Mm.
it, just tell me, anything to avoid them, whoever they are in relation with, leaving.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
So when you said anxious attachment style, um, one of the main characteristics that deep fear of abandonment, and since it is attached to our childhood and a primary caregiver or our family of origin, then that says to me that there was some of that played out in either childhood or adolescence or maybe even infanthood
Yeah.
to some degree. Would that be accurate?
Yeah. Usually people who have an anxious attachment style had a caregiver that was kind of inconsistent with their um,
Mm.
emotional connection with them. So maybe,
Mm.
one day or a moment in a day, they're very loving and caring and attentive. And then maybe the next day they're cold and they're not, giving the
Mm.
attention that a child is looking for. So that leaves a child,
Mhm.
wondering why it's inconsistent. I think
Mhm.
also in
Mhm.
that space, children start to figure out how to behave and how to act to get their caregiver to be responsive to them. And so
Mm.
later on, when they're adults, that also still plays out, right? Having to feel like
Yeah.
fight for love, or they need to work for it.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I'm also thinking about those individuals who had a parent who left them. Because, a lot of us females have quote unquote daddy issues, whose
Yeah.
daddy wasn't either wasn't there or was there but not there, or maybe never knew who their father was. Would that be someone who may also fall into this category with the anxious attachment style based on their fear of abandonment?
Yeah, I would say so. Mhm. And not just dad, right? I think the unique thing about how our attachment styles um, develop is that you can have a very actually physically present parent, but
Mm,
they just are, emotionally is not developing, the
not
connection.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So aside from the anxious attachment style, what are some of the others?
So then we have the avoidant or dismissive, which is the opposite of an anxious attachment style. So the avoidant is one who doesn't necessarily enjoy connection. They
Mm,
find it to be a threat to their independence. They are usually people who may say things like, it's me against the world. I'm, me, myself, and I have my back.
mm,
They fear having to depend on other people, and they also fear people depending on them. Um,
mm,
and,
mhm,
and so you can imagine that in a relationship, this is very difficult because they have a hard time connecting emotionally. And aside
mhm,
from having a hard time, I think their desire for connection is really buried under a lot of emotional disconnect from childhood. They've
mm,
almost essentially shut off their emotions and their emotion center, um, and can come off as if they're cold. They don't they
mm,
don't enjoy conflict. They don't want to talk about the hard things. Where somebody with an anxious
mm,
attachment style is willing to do all the work, right? Willing to talk about the hard things, willing to get to the bottom of things, And the avoidant is more like, I don't want to do any of that. I'd rather go
mm.
back to doing my own thing, go back to my own bubble. I'll count this as a loss. But
Yeah.
mhm. And
Okay.
this is usually a result, when we're talking about childhood, it's usually a result of having to fend for yourself, emotionally, right? Going to a
Mm-hmm.
caregiver with your emotion, your anger, your sadness, and them saying something like "suck it up," you know, "don't cry," or "I'll give you
Mm.
something to cry about." That's a good one, right?
Oh, I used to hear that a lot when I was a kid.
Right. So that, that consistently being the pattern for a child essentially shuts off their emotions, right? I
Mm.
go to my caregiver to depend, and I can't depend on them to soothe me emotionally, to provide any emotional
Right.
guidance, other
Yeah.
than don't feel, leave me alone. It's not that serious, that kind of thing. Mhm.
So let's say for parents of younger children, it's important to allow space for them to express their
Absolutely.
emotions and not shut them down or silence them, so to speak, or tell them, oh, it's like you said, oh, it's not that serious, or don't cry, or don't basically don't show any emotion. And then it gets to the point where as an adult they're hiding everything or
Right.
keeping it in and not able to really connect emotionally with someone.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for parents to understand that.
Yeah.
And when because I was born in 1956, so my mother was born in 1920. Okay, so obviously, not so obviously, but she was of that generation where, be quiet, sit down, be seen and not heard. If you cry, I'm gonna give you something to cry about,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. Yes, but I believe that every generation should be a bit more enlightened and advanced than the previous one.
Yeah.
So even though my generation may have experienced that as children, and maybe some of us even did it to our own children. I don't know. My son is on here. He can answer whether I did it or not. There's
Yeah.
some things I didn't want to mimic that my mother did, but perhaps inadvertently I did. But what I would encourage is for my son, my children to parent differently in that regard,
Yeah.
in terms of shutting their children down emotionally and making them be quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Um, and then in the
Mhm.
middle of those attachment styles is kind of a mix of the two, right? Then we have the fearful avoidance. Sometimes it's referred to as disorganized attachment.
Mm.
But it's
Mhm.
a mix of the two, of anxious and avoidant, right? They're
Mhm. Mhm.
people who really want connection but are very afraid of it. So they may,
Mm.
pull someone close just to say, actually, never mind. I don't want to do this. And then once they say, never mind, I don't want to do this, they say, actually, yes, I do. Come back. So it's this constant push and
Yeah.
pull, a lot of confusion in
Right.
that. But they also have a deep fear of rejection and abandonment. They don't want to be hurt. They don't want to get close to someone just for them to leave.
Mhm.
And they when they're maybe spending time with someone, they want that person to give them space. But then the moment that they leave, they miss them. They want them to come back. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's a lot of what we call a push and pull with
Push and
the
pull.
yeah, with the
Yeah.
mix of that one. And in childhood, they say that someone with a, a disorganized attachment style, when they become adults, in childhood, they may have had a parent who they got along with half the time, and then the other half the time they were like mean or abusive.
Mm.
And so they
Mhm.
have this
Mhm.
fear, like, I do like you, like, as a parent, we do get along sometimes, but I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop. At some point, we're going to be at odds. They
Yeah.
like, do something hurtful or say something hurtful that signals to the child, like, you're only a safe space half the time.
Mm. Okay. And those of you who are watching, if you have any questions, any comments, uh, don't hesitate. Put them in the chat. Uh, and I do want to hear what your experience has been regarding attachment, or what you understand about attachment. It's not for Tiffany and Dr. Danita and Dr. Ashlyn, because I know y'all know. The non mental health professionals who are on here, help me understand what you understand or have understood about attachment. So we've talked about anxious, we've talked about avoidant, dismissive, we talked about the disorganized, which is a mix of the two. And what about a healthy attachment style?
Yeah, so this is what we call a secure attachment style. This
Mm-hmm.
is someone who can be emotionally available, emotionally close to people without losing themselves. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
And while still setting their own boundaries and respecting, their partner's boundaries as well. They don't
Mm-hmm.
feel like boundary setting is a threat of any kind. They don't have the fear that someone is going to leave them or hurt them or the overwhelming
Mm-hmm.
fear at least. And they don't operate in that way. So, conflict arises, a secure person will be able to, really process through an argument or a situation
Mm-hmm.
without feeling like, oh, this is the end, or I don't want to talk about this at all, or that kind of thing. They're very emotionally present.
Mm.
Um, yeah, and hold space for their own feelings as well
Okay.
as their
Okay. So that individual who is securely attached or has a secure attachment style would be someone that would have a high level of emotional intelligence?
probably.
Probably.
Yeah,
Okay. So Nicole asked the question, what is the correlation between codependency and attachment? That's a great question, Nicole.
that is a great question. Um, I guess it depends on the dynamic, right, of what kind of attachment styles are operating in the relationship, right? So, and I'm
Mm,
kind of thinking of this off the top of my head, but I would imagine that someone in an anxious relationship, so both parties are anxiously attached, are probably also very
mhm,
codependent.
mhm,
Needing each other, having to um, depend fully on their partner for validation, for that kind of thing. So I would imagine that pair would also probably be a very codependent pair. Um, and then I'm thinking maybe the avoidant would not be like if two avoidants were in a relationship. Um,
mm.
I would think that they probably would not suffer from codependence in their relationship.
From codependency.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's good. I would agree with that. If the two anxious attachment styles were together, then yeah, I could see there being a level of codependency there. And I could also see there being a level of codependency if you have an anxious with an avoidant as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
But
Mhm.
yeah. I just want to give a shout out to my great niece. Hey, Cherie. She said, hey, Auntie. So I got to say hey to my great niece. Hey, baby. It's so good to see you on here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. So, what role do you think someone understanding their own attachment style, what role do you think that might play in someone's personal growth or in their relationship health?
Yeah. So I think in general, just having knowledge of anything kind of gives you a different perspective and allows you
Hmm.
to then choose differently and make the decision to behave differently, right? If you don't know,
Mm,
then you really don't have the option to do differently. So I would say that's number one. Having
hmm. Hmm.
the knowledge and coming to the understanding of your own attachment style will give you the opportunity to do something different and make changes
Mm,
if
hmm.
necessary.
Hmm.
Um, and I think, because we talked about how most people do not have a secure attachment style, like we talked about earlier, I think it's at play a lot more than people know, right? And so I
Mm,
think that, relationships go awry for these kinds of reasons, and it's definitely
hmm. Hmm.
harmful. Um, but people don't know that this is what's
Right.
happening, right?
Yeah. And I think also if it presents an opportunity for someone to possibly connect the dots in terms of some of their behaviors in a relationship, especially if they're the anxious type. Well, any style, but I'm talking about anxious because that happens to be my attachment style.
Same.
Um, so if, let's say hypothetically, you did an assessment or a quiz or something, and the results indicate that your attachment style is an anxious attachment style, and it explains the characteristics of that. You can say, wow, now I understand. It gives some context to some of the behaviors,
Yeah.
but it also presents an opportunity, hopefully, if you're in therapy, to even dig deeper and look back at how that anxious attachment style was developed, and maybe to unpack and uproot some of that stuff. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think that, because the attachment styles are constantly at play, right? If you haven't healed, if you haven't worked through it, then there's no way you're really turning it off. And
Right.
so this allows people to be in a sort of like cycle in their relationships, right? Like constantly, even if they've been like, let's say they've been in a relationship for, 10, 15 years, there's still a cycle that they're most likely going through even in their long-term relationship.
Yeah.
And so it's not necessarily just, for people with poor dating habits. But I think that it creates a cycle. And you can break the cycle by understanding what's really going on, and then kind of being able to pause, right, and think about how you want to respond or react to your partner or your loved one.
Yeah, that cycle thing is real, because if you really take time, especially in terms of romantic relationships, when you've had a few, there was a saying, I don't know where I heard this, but it's the same man in a different pair of pants, but essentially the same individual. Because a lot of who we choose as a partner is impacted by our attachment style. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So there, a lot of times there will be that cycle, and a lot of times we're not even aware that this is the same man with just a different pair of pants, or the same woman in a different dress.
Yeah.
Until we take the time to really investigate it. And again, I'm a proponent of therapy. Therapy is a fantastic place.
Yeah.
To figure out some of that stuff, because, like you just said, Kierra, when you have a better understanding, you can make different choices.
Yeah.
And speaking of choices, I'm wondering about also understanding our partner's attachment style.
Yeah, I think it gives you the opportunity to be present for them, right? I think most people, even if they don't know their attachment style, I think a lot of people feel shame about their insecure attachment styles, right? Even if they don't know it, right? So someone who's avoidant, I think sometimes will feel like, wow, like what's wrong with me? Why can't I connect with people? Why can't, why don't I want to be close? The anxious may feel like, oh, I keep like driving people away. I just, I'm so overwhelmed, so overbearing. And so I think understanding your partner's attachment style, can help bring closeness. Because
Yes.
and say, well, I see what's happening now. I see it's not a personal attack on me. Kind of your attachment style working right now. How can I help you, feel safer in this moment?
That's good. That's good. Hey, Cherie, I love you too, baby. It will be great to see you again. I know you're all the way out there in Chicago. We're going to have to make some plans to see each other. Either you're going to have to come east, or I'm going to have to come west. Or we could meet in the middle. I don't know, but I would love to see you again. But I love you too, baby. Dr. Danita said, she says, I think family members should take the assessment to better understand each other. That's a great point. Yeah, because there's a lot of a family dynamic that goes on, especially when you think about siblings who grew up in the same household, and they all won't necessarily have the same attachment style.
Yeah. I'm
Because my sister
100,000%
Jackie and I,
sure that me and my
uh-huh.
brothers have complete opposite attachment.
Oh, yeah, because I know I have an anxious attachment style. My sister Jackie has not, as far as I know, I don't know if she's ever taken the assessment or anything, but just from knowing her and her relationships, I would say she would tend more towards the avoidant attachment style. And we grew up in the same household. Oh, okay. My Cherie was saying, forgive her if she came on late. How does attachment style theory play off of personality styles, such as sanguine, uh, phlegmatic, choleric, and melancholy? I'm not sure about that. So I don't know. If you know, Kierra, you can take a stab at it, but I'm really not sure because I've never looked at the two theories in conjunction with one another.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't either. So I wouldn't have too much to add to that, but I think all of them relate in some way, right? I think personality, attachment theory, love languages, I think they all can connect, you know, if we sat down to connect them all.
Yeah.
I definitely think they all relate in some way.
Yeah, that makes sense because it's looking at who we are and how we got to be how we are, but just through a different lens and calling it something different.
Right, right.
So yeah. Also, my nephew was saying he and his wife definitely have different attachment styles. Lauren says, hold on, I'll put it up. Oh, it takes a desire of a person to want to learn and understand their attachment challenges. Absolutely. Yeah. And you know something? I think, especially if you are running into the same wall in your relationships, whether it's in your romantic relationships, your work relationships, or your friendships, because we show up as who we are in all of them. So if you're running into the same issues at work and at home and in your community and at play and at the gym, then maybe it's not all of them.
Yeah.
Maybe then maybe that's time to really do some self-reflection. So what do you say to that, Kierra?
Yeah, I think I would agree with that as well. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think the desire being there to you know, fully understand yourself is a great step in the right direction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with that 1000%. So I want to ask, is it possible for an individual for their attachment styles to be modified? And if so, what might be the best therapeutic approach to accomplish that?
Yeah, so yes, definitely. Any of the attachment
Mm-hmm.
styles can become more secure. I think if you have an insecure attachment style, you will probably lean towards your insecure attachment style, even when, you know, at your worst, I guess, even when you're, you know, working to be more secure. So that's always
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to be mindful of, but you can absolutely, you know, work to be more secure through therapy,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, through couples counseling. I think, you know,
Mm-hmm.
therapeutic approaches, maybe for an individual like CBT, to kind of work through what's going on in your brain. If we're
Mm-hmm.
talking
Mm-hmm.
about if your attachment style is really deeply rooted in some trauma, maybe some EMDR to reprocess
Mm.
the moment that maybe you go back to when your partner triggers you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that CBT and using EMDR to get to some of the why and address some of those issues. And that's why I think it's important, even when a couple comes for couples counseling, to also have individual counseling as
Yeah,
well.
for sure. There's usually
Yeah.
a lot to unpack.
Ah,
Yeah.
always. There's always something to unpack because we didn't grow up in a vacuum, and we are impacted by that family of origin, and we bring all of it to a
Yeah.
relationship. I don't care what people say. I'm not marrying them, their family, and I'm not marrying them. Like, yeah, you is. But if you realize it or not, you are marrying the whole clan because your spouse grew up in that environment and has been impacted and influenced by that environment.
Yeah. And also,
Um,
I think if you also for like the therapeutic approaches, just
mhm.
going through their family system, right? Who they are in their family, the who their mother, father was in their family, right? So kind of just understanding the
Mhm.
entire dynamic altogether and
Yeah.
where you fell into that.
Okay. Yeah. So Dr. Danita was asking to share some of our personal growth experience to give us examples. So I don't know if you want your beautiful daughter to share, or if you want uh, you want me to share.
She wants me
I'm
to spill
okay with
my
it.
life's tea. That's what she wants. She wants me to spill the tea.
Well, you spill as much tea as you want. You can spill it, or you can keep it in a cup. It's all
Yeah,
up to you,
no,
baby.
I don't have a problem. I talk very openly about the things
Hmm.
that I experienced. But like, we said earlier, I definitely lean more towards the anxious attachment style. Um, and I think for myself, I had to really learn how to regulate my mind and body in a moment where
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling triggered, right? So like distracting myself,
Mm-hmm.
sensibility, distracting myself, giving myself time to reprocess what's going on, right? Instead of the initial thought,
Mm-hmm.
the initial feeling of abandonment, right? So somebody doesn't text me
Mm-hmm.
for 3 or 4 hours. Where are they? What's going on? What are they doing? Are they dead? Are they cheating?
Mm.
Did they ghost me? Did they just leave and not tell me anything? And
Yeah.
what am I going to do with all of that, right? These thoughts are kind of spinning around in my head, but just giving myself a second, right?
Mm.
Going and doing something else, going and talking to a friend, or even talking to a friend about it. Sarah will attest. That's my best friend. But I'll go and I'll check with her, like, should I be acting like this or this? And she'll say, like, just give it a second, just give it a moment.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
usually in the end, right? Nobody died, nobody cheated, nobody, right? So I think personally that's kind of what I had to do for myself. I think um, also being aware of what's actually going on in the situation in myself so I can communicate that rather than
Mm.
the more passive aggressive ways that insecure attachment styles can communicate, right?
Oh,
So instead of
yes.
saying something like, um, what's one of my favorite lines is, do you hate me? That's what I say. So you hate me now. You haven't texted me in an hour or 2 hours, so you must hate me. Right? Instead of
Mm.
saying something like that, saying like, I was really feeling anxious when I didn't hear from you. Can we talk about when and how you can check in? Realistically, right? Everybody can't be at your beck and call all the time, but realistically, like
Right.
how that can happen. So um, yeah, I think I've also noticed since moving more towards the secure attachment side, that being in relations with someone who has an insecure attachment style will pull me back into
Mm.
the more insecure attachment
Mm-hmm.
style.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
fully communicating my feelings, but they haven't figured their stuff out yet. So doesn't really matter,
Yeah.
um, and then kind of pulling me back into the insecure behaviors. Yeah, so that's my
Yeah.
tea.
Yeah, that's good. And I concur with um as you're working towards a more secure attachment style, because I lean towards the anxious attachment style as well, and I have to catch myself sometimes
Yeah.
because my husband, he's more avoidant, dismissive
Mhm.
attachment style, and there are times when as I'm working towards a more secure attachment style, something he'll say or do or not say or do will kind of trigger me. And then, just like you, I'm starting to wonder, okay, so well, what's going on? Is so and so, is this happening again? What's going on over there? Why is this happening? He don't love me no more. You
Yeah.
know, say the same scenario. He and I had a whole conversation just a couple of days ago about him loving me.
Mhm.
And he said, Valerie, I can't believe you're asking me this or thinking that I don't love you. How could you possibly say that?
Yeah.
But again, I was triggered by something, and that anxious spiral started. And I had to really catch myself. Well, let me rephrase that. He kind of caught me to stop me from going completely down the rabbit hole. So I understand completely what you were talking about. My niece was asking, do anxious attachment style people exaggerate? She said, because the do you hate me sounds like an over the top reaction.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And the short response is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that well, I think both ends of the spectrum are kind of extreme, right? The anxious and the avoidant, just in
Hmm.
different ways. And I think the anxiously attached person gets the most slack because they have the, I guess, more expressive
Mm,
insecurities. The avoidant is kind of
yeah.
like um they don't say much, they don't do too much, they're cool, calm, and collected, right? A lot of
Yeah.
avoidance hide
Yeah.
behind the idea like I have control of my emotions, or I don't like to argue, or
Mm,
that kind of thing. So I think the anxiously attached person definitely gets more of the social shame, should I say, of being crazy and being
oh,
overbearing or
yeah.
dramatic, or that kind of
Mm,
yeah.
yeah. When all we're trying to do really is just hold on.
Yeah, I just want to feel connected. I just need to know you're not going anywhere.
Exactly. And the irony is that the very thing that we fear very often comes about because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy
Yeah,
resulting from our behaviors.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's the unfortunate part. So talk about that anxious avoidant trap. What is that anxious avoidant trap?
Yeah. So I mean, the anxious and the avoidant both need opposite things to feel safe, or um
Mhm.
I should say conflicting things, right, to feel safe, right? And
Mm.
so
Mhm,
they're both
mhm,
kind of valid in their feelings, but also not at the same time, which
mhm,
creates this cycle.
mhm, mhm.
The anxious needs connection to feel safe, and the avoidant needs space
Mhm.
to feel safe. And so, I mean, you can see how that would become an issue, or a cycle,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
The anxious is like nearly begging
Mhm,
for
mhm,
connection, and the avoidant is like, please leave me alone. Like, I
mm.
need a second. Um, and this becomes a cycle or a trap of, um, the anxious feeling like the avoidant doesn't like them, and the avoidant feeling like they don't have what it takes to show up for the anxious.
Yeah. Wow. And even though it sounds like that would be a match made somewhere other than in heaven, there is still the potential for that to be corrected if they do seek out some either individual counseling or couples counseling along with it to try to understand that and help them not just to understand themselves, but to understand their partner. So that in my anxious style, knowing that my husband is more avoidant, so help me understand that so I don't go crazy like I did a few days ago, wondering if he loves me or not.
Yeah, yeah. I think what's it's so interesting about that connection is it's so common. It's so many avoidance and
Mm,
anxious are drawn to each other, and I think a lot of that is because, you know, the anxiously attached person feels like, you know, love is not for them, or they're not worthy of love unless they fought for it. And so a
Right,
perfect
right.
partner for that is the avoidant, right? You're constantly fighting for connection and for them to be present,
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
And for the avoidant who feels like they don't really want to put in the work to be connected, right? And this is
Mm.
at their worst, right? So nobody get offended. At their worst, they don't want to put the work in to be connected. So the anxious does it all. You know, they kind of carry the relationship on their back. And so the avoidant
Mm.
gets to feel the benefits of a relationship without actually having to do a lot of the legwork until they trigger the anxious, and then the trap starts. So I think in healing that, it takes a lot of vulnerability for one, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
humility, right? Putting your pride aside to understand what's going on with your partner, um,
Yeah.
and a lot of compromise, right? So, like
Mm.
a compromise in this dynamic is like, if we get into an argument, I, as an anxiously attached person, and my partner is avoidant, we get into an argument. Obviously, I want to talk about it immediately. Let's work it out right now. I don't want to give
Right.
you space, because if I give you any space, then you might leave. So let's work it out right
Mm-hmm.
now. And the avoidant is like, I need time to think about it, you know, that kind of thing. But also, at their worst, avoidance will never come back to that conversation. So
Mm-hmm.
the compromise is the avoidant gets their space, but has to come back at some point to have this conversation, and needs to communicate to the
Yes.
anxiously attached person what time we're having this conversation, what to expect,
Right.
how long it's going to be, um, and then the anxiously attached person needs to do their part, distract yourself until it's time to have that conversation, you know, process through your own things, um,
Mm-hmm.
until
Mm-hmm.
the agreed upon time. That's just an example, but and the avoidant needs to to come back at that time, or whatever
Yeah.
is discussed, to talk through that thing. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. And when I have a couple where one is anxious and one is avoidant, that is exactly how I encourage them to navigate when there is conflict or there's an issue. It's okay to table it, but you gotta come back and you
Yeah.
gotta be specific, because if the avoidant says, yeah, okay, I just need to table this for today. I need to process my thoughts and get my thoughts together, and we can talk about it tomorrow when I come home from work.
Hmm.
You have to cut. You have to do that. The avoidant must do that, because if not, the other is not going to trust them anymore.
Yeah.
And then the next time there is a conflict and the avoidant wants to table it, the other one's going to say, no, I ain't playing that game, because the
Yeah.
last time you said you were going to come back, you didn't do it. So now
Yeah.
I don't trust you to do that.
Yeah. And
So there's got to be, you got to keep your word. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say that I also think, you know, the goal is um that both would be moving towards a secure attachment, right? So the goal is that,
Yes.
you know, we're building a tolerance for certain things, and so an avoidant should be building a tolerance to address things immediately,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
Or not take a day or 2 days to have to process through it, right? Maybe we go
Yeah.
from you needing 2 days to process through this to a couple hours. We talk about it same day, right? So
Right.
I do think there should be some growth in that area as well. Um, yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Cherie was saying she talked about that in Duets. That's her church's marriage ministry. She says it's a great ministry. You can tabling it, but setting a time to revisit the issue.
Hmm.
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer in allowing some space if one partner or the other needs some time to gather their thoughts and get themselves together. But again, if they say they're going to come back at a certain day, at a certain time, even if it's 3 days later, I mean, hopefully it won't be that long,
Yeah.
but some people take longer to process than others.
Hmm.
And if you know that about your partner and you're the anxiously attached one, it can be extremely difficult But just like Kierra suggested, do something to distract yourself rather than just ruminating on when is he going to come back? When is she going to come back? When they're going to talk about this again? Do something to distract yourself so that you're not ruminating on it. Right,
Yeah.
Kierra?
Yeah.
Wow. So this attachment stuff is real.
Yeah. It
It's
sure is.
real.
Yeah.
So I think we talked about this, about can a secure attachment in a relationship be fostered? And I think that's what you were talking about, each individual, if they are not securely attached, to work towards having a more secure attachment style.
Yeah.
So what if, hypothetically, you have been anxious, you have been avoidant, and they're in couples therapy. One is more geared towards working towards secure attachment than the other. The other one says, listen, if they're like Popeye, I am who I am. This is it. This is me. That's all it is. And you ain't getting nothing else.
Yeah.
How would you address that?
I mean, I think how I would address any resistance that we see in therapy, right? We as therapists can't do the work for anyone. And so I think having that realistic conversation, I mean, I think probably before having that conversation, I would like to maybe see what the resistance is about. You know, if whatever that may be, and working through what the resistance is about. And if that fails, and they're, sure that they don't want to do the work, then I think a conversation needs to be had about what you want for your relationship or your marriage. And if they're not willing to see those changes, then they will have to accept what they are currently working with. But that's their decision. And then, talking to the party that is willing, about their feelings around their partner not wanting to kind of do the work.
Absolutely. Because just like you said, I tell my clients, this ain't magic. Okay. And you've got to do the work, and I can't want it more for you than you want it for yourselves. And if one partner has just completely dug their heels in and the other is willing to do the work, my question to them is, okay, what if nothing ever changes? What if it's like this forever? Then you have to decide, can you deal with it? Can you handle this? Can you live with this? But they've got to decide for themselves, because realistically, if the other one says that's it and that's all, then that question must be asked and answered. What if nothing changes? Because sometimes it don't.
And that's the unfortunate reality, right? But I think, just to the front, to the light that can you hear me?
Oh, you froze a little bit.
Okay. Am I back?
Okay, there you are. You're back.
That whatever, they were experiencing prior to coming to therapy, they obviously did not have the tools to fix themselves, right? And so, I mean, especially when couples are at their end, what is there to lose? Just let's try it.
Absolutely. I agree 1000%, because what I say to them is, listen, what I said the same thing. What have you got to lose? Because you can get divorced anytime. It doesn't have to be right now. You don't have to separate right now. You can separate 6 months from now, 9 months from now, 12 months from now. It's okay. What have you got to lose? But you have so much to potentially gain if you do put in the work. So what final words or encouragement? I just like to say bye to my niece. She said she had to go. Okay, baby, I'll see you next time. What do you have to say to those who are wondering about attachment, and what might be a next step for them, whether they know their attachment style or they don't? What would you say to them?
I mean, definitely take the quiz online. It's free. answer the questions honestly. Really think about, because it's a self-report test, right? So you can make yourself out to be better than better than what you're actually are experiencing. So be honest. And with your results, just take that and want to learn more. There's a ton of resources on the internet. The book Attached, I don't know who it's by, but the book is called Attached. It explains all the attachment styles and gives some sort of guidance on how to manage your triggers, heal through certain things, and go to therapy, right? I encourage everyone to go to therapy, obviously. I think, just having a professional to process through your thoughts, your triggers, your experiences, your relational experiences is really helpful.
Yeah. Absolutely. And obviously I encourage therapy as well. Yeah. And listen, didn't I tell y'all in the beginning that Cairn University puts out some fantabulous therapists? I mean, I think you can tell just from the conversation that took place here what an amazing therapist Kierra is.
Aww.
Okay, and she practices there at Mending Hearts Behavioral Health and Family Services. If you are in New Jersey and you want to receive services, Mending Hearts Behavioral Health and Family Services. And I don't know if Kierra has any space on her calendar, but you can certainly pursue that because, as you can see, I believe she will be very helpful individually or with couples. And I don't know, do you do kids too, or you don't do kids?
I don't do couples, actually.
Oh, you don't do couples? Oh, okay. Yeah. Individuals.
Yeah, but children and individuals. Yeah.
Children and individuals. I mean, I should know that because one of your individuals came to me for couples, so I should remember that. But anywho, individuals, I want you all to give a shout out to Kierra. It's been a wonderful. Oh, Dr. Danita said she has hired many Cairn cuties, many Cairn graduates. Because when I started my internship there, I think there were at least 5 or 6 of us who were graduates of Cairn University. Some have gone on to start their own practice or up to work at other practices. But absolutely, Cairn University is the best, I believe, when it comes to preparing us.
I agree.
For this career. So, Kierra, I want to thank you. Thank you. This has been very enlightening. And I pray that those who watched found it to be enlightening as well. And again, if you haven't already done so, I would appreciate if you would subscribe to the YouTube channel, Marriage Beyond the Breach. I always put everybody else's stuff up, but I don't put up my own. Ain't that something? Okay, hold on. Oh, that's my I don't know what I'm doing right now. Hold on. Okay. What am I doing? Oh, that's on the bottom. Oh, that's because I got it that way. Oh, my goodness, Valerie. What are you? Listen, y'all. Don't pay me no mind. Anywho, Marriage Beyond the Breach. That's the YouTube channel. That's the Instagram page. That's the Facebook page. Marriage Beyond the Breach. And that's also the website as well. So great job, Kierra. Well done. So informative. They are encouraging you. My sister Jackie says, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So thank you, Kierra. So y'all know, I like y'all to be good to our guests because, I love having folk back. So this will not be the last time that Sister Kierra will be here on our show. So thank you all for watching. Thank you, Kierra. And you guys can come back next week. I forget what we're doing next week. I think it's just going to be me and the Cookie Man on next week. The week after that is Mother's Day, so we will not be on. And I believe on the 19th, whatever that week after, Sunday after Mother's Day is, we're going to be talking about trauma and how to treat trauma specifically with EMDR and internal family systems. And the week
good.
after that,
Yeah.
one of my favorite people on the planet will be back talking about trauma bonding. What is trauma bonding? You may have heard that, but what is it really? What does it look like? And what can you do about it? So those are conversations that are upcoming. So please subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you can be notified when those will be happening. Again, God bless you and thank you, and have a fantabulous night and a fantabulous week. Kierra, hang on for